Hello and welcome to the Practical English Podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Angela. We're so glad you could join us today.
Absolutely. Today we're diving into a topic that every single language learner faces, common mistakes.
That's right. And we want to start by saying that making mistakes is not just okay, it's essential. It's how we learn and grow.
Exactly. No one speaks a new language perfectly from day one. The goal today is to look at a few super common errors we hear, understand why they're mistakes, and give you the tools to fix them.
And we promise to do it in a fun, encouraging way. We'll be covering 3 big ones today. I am agree, he don't, and I very like it.
Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, Mike, let's jump into our first one. This is a mistake I hear all the time, even from advanced learners. It's the phrase, I am agree.
Ah, yes, a classic. It feels right, doesn't it? Because you can say, I am happy or I am tired. So I am agree seems to follow the same pattern.
Exactly, but it's actually incorrect. So, Mike, can you break down for us why that little word am shouldn't be there?
Of course. The simple reason is that in English, agree is a verb. It's an action word.
Mm-hmm.
Think of other verbs like run, eat, or think. You wouldn't say, I am run or I am eat. You just say, I run or I eat.
That makes so much sense. So agree works the same way. It's the action of having the same opinion.
Precisely. So the correct and much simpler way to say it is just, I agree.
I agree. Let's use it in a sentence. For example, if you said, this coffee is delicious, I would say, I agree.
Perfect. Or, I agree that we need to study this more. So the key is to remember that agree is a verb. So what about if you don't have the same opinion, Angela?
Good question. We just use the auxiliary verb do to make it negative, like with other verbs. So you'd say, I don't agree.
Right. For instance, I don't agree with that decision.
Or to ask a question, you'd say, do you agree?
Do you agree that this is an important topic? And hopefully our listeners are nodding and saying, yes, I agree.
I hope so. You know, this is a great opportunity to give our listeners some other useful phrases for expressing agreement and disagreement to make their English sound even more natural.
Great idea. So instead of just I agree, you could say something stronger like I completely agree or I totally agree.
Right. Or you could say, you're absolutely right, or that's a good point.
And for disagreeing politely, that's a really important skill.
It is. Instead of a flat, I don't agree, you could soften it. You might say, I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
That's a good one. I see your point, but, or I'm afraid I don't agree. The I'm afraid makes it sound a bit more polite and less confrontational.
Exactly. Let's do a quick role play. Mike, give me an opinion.
Okay. I think winter is the best season.
I see your point about the holidays and the snow, but I'm afraid I don't agree. I prefer summer.
Perfect. See how natural that sounds? So the big takeaway for this first mistake is agree is a verb. Just say, I agree or I don't agree. All right, are we ready for mistake number 2?
Let's do it. This one is all about something called subject-verb agreement. It sounds complicated, but the mistake is simple. We often hear learners say things like, he don't like it, or she go to the store.
Yes, the missing S. This is probably one of the most frequent mistakes in English. The rule is for the third person singular, which is just a fancy way of saying he, she, or it, we need to add an S to the end of the verb in the present tense.
Right, so it's not he like, it's he likes. Not she work, but she works.
Exactly. And this rule also applies to the negative form. With he, she, or it, we don't use don't, we use doesn't. The S moves from the main verb to the auxiliary verb do, turning it into does.
That's a really great way to explain it. The S is still there, it's just attached to do, so the correct phrase is, he doesn't like it.
Exactly. She doesn't live here, it doesn't work.
I tell my students to think of the S as a special little flag you raise whenever you're talking about a single other person or thing in the present.
I love that analogy, a little S flag for he, she, and it. And this applies to so many verbs. For example, with the verb have, It's not he have a car, it's
He has a car.
right. And for go, it's not she go to the gym.
She goes to the gym. We add es for verbs that end in o.
You got it. This can be tricky because in English, we add s to nouns to make them plural, like one cat, two cats. But for verbs, we add s to make them singular for a singular subject, like he, she, or it.
That's a very important point. The s on the verb means the subject is singular. It's the opposite of how it works for nouns.
Yeah, English can be weird like that.
Tell me about it. Another place this gets tricky is with words like everybody, everyone, somebody. These words feel plural, but grammatically they are singular.
That's a fantastic point. So you wouldn't say everybody know the answer.
Nope. You'd say everybody knows the answer. You need that little S flag.
Everyone is here, not everyone are here.
So to wrap up this second mistake, when you're talking about he, she, it, or a singular noun like everybody, my friend in the present tense, remember to add that S to the verb.
He plays, she sings, it works.
And in the negative, use doesn't. He doesn't play, she doesn't sing. Okay, on to our third and final common mistake for today. This is another one that seems logical, but just isn't quite right in English. It's when someone says, I very like it.
Yes, I hear this one a lot too. We use very all the time in English, so it's understandable why people try to use it this way.
Right, you can say, it's very good, or I'm very tired. So why can't you say, I very like it?
Well, the grammatical reason is that very is an adverb that we use to intensify an adjective, like good or tired, or another adverb, like quickly. But it doesn't usually intensify a verb, like.
That's the key. Like is a verb, so very doesn't work with it directly. What should learners say instead?
The most common and natural sounding correction is to use the word really. I really like it.
Really works perfectly there. I really like this song. I really want to go to the beach.
Exactly. Another great option is to put very much at the end of the sentence. For example, I like it very much.
I like this song very much. That sounds very natural too. So the two main fixes are I really like it or I like it very much.
Yep. And if you want to expand your vocabulary, there's lots of other ways to express a strong liking for something.
Oh, let's share some of those. That's always useful.
Okay, so instead of I really like it, you could say I absolutely love it. That's even stronger.
Or you could say I'm a big fan of it. For example, I'm a big fan of that author.
Nice one. Or you could use the phrase I'm really into it. This is a bit more informal and casual. I'm really into playing guitar lately.
I like that one. It shows a real passion for something. So you have lots of options. Really like very much, love, be a big fan of, or be really into.
So much more expressive than just very like. So the rule to remember here is that very goes with adjectives, very interesting, very difficult, while really can go with verbs.
That's a lot of great alternatives. You know, that brings me to another pair of words that often get mixed up, borrow and lend. I've heard learners say things like, can you borrow me a pen?
Okay, so today we looked at 3 common mistakes. First, instead of I am agree, we say,
I agree, because agree is a verb.
and second, instead of he don't, we say,
He doesn't, because we need that special S for he, she, and it in the present tense. He likes, she goes, it works.
and third, instead of I very like it, we should say,
I really like it, or I like it very much.
fantastic. We hope these explanations have been helpful. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect, but to communicate effectively and with confidence.
That's the most important thing. And to help with that, we have a couple of final tips. One of the best ways to get a feel for these natural patterns is to listen. Listen to podcasts like this one. Watch movies in English. Find YouTubers you enjoy. The more you hear correct English, the more it will start to sound right to you.
Great tip. And my tip would be to read. Reading exposes you to correct grammar and sentence structure over and over again. It doesn't have to be a difficult novel. It can be a news article, a blog, anything you find interesting.
And our final tip, don't be afraid to practice and get corrected. That's how we improve. Find a language partner, take a class, or just talk to yourself in English. It all helps.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Practical English Podcast.
Thanks so much for listening. Join us next time when we'll be talking about phrasal verbs related to travel. It's going to be a fun one.
Until then, keep practicing.
Bye for now.